coming in 2024, because here we are at the end of 2023 and inquiring minds want to know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I want to know.
What will the new year bring? Stay tuned. Hey YouTube Nation, everyone wants to know what to expect in the economy as we slide into the new year of 2024 and how will the housing market be affected. And we're going to cover a few key points from the recent labor market report that came out just a few days ago. But before we do, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so I can continue to put out valuable content to answer questions about the markets in Manatee and Sarasota County. The unemployment rate fell again in November, which indicates that the Fed's inflation fight seems to be working because it hasn't hurt jobs, and therefore they're thinking a soft landing is possible other than a full-blown recession. So let's talk about Friday's report from the Labor Department showing that the unemployment rate dropped from 3.9% to 3.7%, not far above a 5-decade low of 3.4% in April, which shows the jobless rate has now remained below 4% for nearly 2 years. And that's the longest streak since the late 1960s.
Groovy, baby.
Now, don't forget that the slight increase in November was inflated by the return of about 40,000 striking auto workers, up north, and of course the actors and writers and that sort of thing not being at the job site in October. So what is this jobs report and other recent data portraying? It's portraying an economy and a labor market that will, while still sturdy, is reverting back to pre-pandemic norms. And I believe that reverting back to pre-pandemic norms will be the theme of 2024, not just in the economy overall, but in the housing markets. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that we'll see the price appreciation of homes return to more of a normal price appreciation growth prior to COVID. So instead of seeing a $100,000 appreciation growth in 1 year, we're going to start to see normal price appreciation growth as if the unicorn years of the pandemic never happened. But remember, there are a few caveats to that, which we don't want to overlook. That's kind of like, when you see that sign that says free cell phone for all new customers, and then you see that little asterisk at the end, and then you read the fine print.
You gotta read the fine print, man. The terms of service are brutal.
Yeah, because the reason I say that is because you and I are going to be seeing lots of really great videos here on YouTube with varying opinions of how the real estate markets are going to perform in 2024. So remember that real estate is always local.
You let that sink in.
And of course, different markets across the country and even within the same state are going to have very different scenarios, different numbers. So always rely on data in your local market for what's happening in your area. And because of those blasted unicorn years of the pandemic they really did change real estate across the country, several factors are going to determine what normal price growth appreciation is and what it's going to be in your area and in my area. Things like inventory levels, median price points, new construction activity, where people are moving across the country, where interest rates are headed, and of course, let's not forget, this is an election year, which makes Wall Street pretty squirrely. So what is happening in the labor market that made the feds feel more, comfortable and confident? Well, businesses are hiring, but they're less desperate to fill huge numbers of jobs. Why? Well, because employers are also testing the waters. They want to make sure they keep their margins kind of slim so they don't have to lay people off. We're seeing more Americans have come off the sidelines and they're looking for work.
Excuse me, sir. I'm looking for a job.
And I think a lot of that's just due to how expensive it is right now. Living expenses, food expenses, that sort of thing. And as a result, employers are finding it easier to hire people. They're seeing and hearing less complaints of worker shortages and less pressure to aggressively raise pay, which all of those things can fuel inflation. Well, don't you know, though, a cooling job market is just what the Fed was hoping to achieve as it was seeking to slow the economy and, of course, slow inflation with its rapid interest rate hikes earlier this year. Hiring has averaged just over $200,000 a month in the past 3 months, which is down from an average of about 320,000 jobs in the same period last year. Of course, last month's job gains were concentrated in just really a few sectors. The healthcare industry, which is doctors' offices and hospitals, added 93,000 jobs in November. Governments added 49,000 jobs, and surprisingly, hotels and restaurants added 40,000 jobs. So these three sectors accounted for nearly all of the job growth. Now, by contrast, retailers, shipping and warehousing companies, and temp help agencies all cut jobs.
Oh my gosh. You all hate me, don't you? No.
Wages are growing at a slower but still healthy pace. In November, average hourly pay rose 4% from 12 months earlier, which is the slowest pace in more than 2 years. Still, average pay is now growing faster than inflation, which should support customer spending. You know they like it when you go spend the money.
Okay, look for specials now. Come on, shop, everybody.
So, when the Feds meet next week, are they going to raise the interest rates? Most economists and Wall Street traders think no.
How about no?
So many of the most recent economic figures have pointed toward a potential soft landing, not a full-blown recession. Companies are advertising fewer job openings, and Americans are switching jobs less often than they did a year ago. Hiring is cooling a bit, and price increases have moderated significantly.
It will be significant.
These, of course, are all trends that typically slow wage growth and they slow inflation pressures. For now, most analysts are offering a positive outlook of slower but still steady growth and easing inflation. The economy is expected to expand at a modest 1.5% annual rate by the end of 2023, down from a fiery 5.2% pace that we had in July to September quarter. Cooler growth should help bring down inflation while still supporting a modest pace of hiring. This all points to the Fed's not changing the rate at next week's meeting, and many buyers are seeing this. They're seeing the rates come down, and of course, what are they doing? They're jumping back into the market and they're making a purchase. I've had more buyers calling to make appointments, and in talking with other agents in the area, they're saying the same thing. So let's sit back and see if this becomes a trend. The next big question we all want to know is, when will the Fed start to cut interest rates? All of the progress we just talked about on the jobs market and how it has positively affected inflation has fueled speculation in the financial markets that the Fed could soon, and we hope it's soon, that they could cut its benchmark rate perhaps as early as March. Wall Street traders now expect 5 rate cuts next year, but most economists envision fewer than 5. Christopher Waller, not Christopher Walken.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription
It's more cowbell.
Christopher Waller is a key federal official who typically favors high interest rates. He boosted the market's expectations last week when he suggested that if inflation kept falling, the Fed could cut rates as early as spring. Of course, our boy, Federal Chair Jerome Powell, though, he kind of pushed back on that, saying that he thought it was too soon to speculate about when the Fed was going to cut rates.
No, seriously, no comment.
But Powell did say that interest rates were, what did he say, well into restrictive territory, meaning that they are clearly constraining growth. Of course, many analysts took that remark as a signal that the Fed is done raising rates. Guys, we gotta believe.
Don't stop believing.
And what are financial experts predicting for mortgage rates in 2024? So far, we can kind of look at some mortgage rate projections. Here we've got Fannie Mae, we've got the Mortgage Bankers of America, and of course the National Association of Realtors. So they're going to give their predictions in right here, 2023 Q4. That's what we're in right now. Fannie Mae projected 7.7. Mortgage Bankers of America said 7.5. And of course, the National Association of Realtors was a little higher. So the average of those, as you can see, they're expecting rates to kind of hover around 7.67. Now, we are in the second week of December, so it's going to be interesting to see if this goes down by the end of December. And then we're heading into the first quarter of 2024. And of course, you can see what's going on in the first quarter of 2024 with each of these groups are saying. Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers of America, National Association of Realtors. They're kind of averaging here a little under 7.5%. Then we go a little bit lower in the second quarter of 2024 to just below 7%. And then, of course, the third quarter, they're saying about 6.67. That's the average of what's going on here. That's kind of what I've been thinking, what I've been discussing with the lenders and the mortgage people and the financial analysts that I personally follow and the ones that I know personally, that it's going to be about the 6.6 range by the end of the fourth quarter of 2024. Time will tell. And because I'm always telling you guys it's local when it comes to numbers and stats, let's look quickly at October stats for both Manatee and Sarasota counties. Now remember, the reason I'm showing you October's data is because we will not get November's data until the end of this month, December. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things change from October to November, because look at these numbers right now. This is for Manatee County. Of course, closed sales year over year. So from October 2022 to October of 2023, we had an increase in single family sales and condo sales in Manatee County. But let's look here at the median price. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. Year over year, in the month of October, single family median price fell 12.8%. That's a pretty good decrease from October of last year till October of this year. Now, if you look at the condo here, look though, condo, they've had an increase year over year of almost 0.5%. And then of course on the right, if you look, you'll see how long it took to go to contract. These are still really short days to get things under contract, people. 29 days and 30 days. That's not much time on the market. That's pretty good. But remember, a year ago, things were going in, 5 to 10 days. So that's pretty interesting. Now, what I said earlier is I'm really excited to see what's happening with November's data when we get it this month in December. When we get November's data in December.
Just calm down.
I am coming.
Yeah, kind of crazy. But when we get November's data, it's going to be interesting to see, did the price continue to go down? Or are we going to see it moderate a little bit? So don't worry, I'm going to be here. I'm going to tell you all about November's data, and then I'll tell you all about December's data. I got you. So let's look at month's supply of homes for Manatee County. We have 3.3 months worth of inventory. Now, that is still a seller's market, okay, technically. A normal market would be anything over 6 months. That'd be a buyer's market. Anything under 6 or 5 months can be considered a seller's market. So we have had a big increase from October of last year, 2022, to October 2023, almost 18% growth in inventory. And that's good. It's good to have inventory, but don't forget, it's still a seller's market, right? That doesn't mean sellers can price things crazy up there. You have got to be in line with the data that's going on right now, not last year's data. But we still have low inventory levels. And then, of course, in condo, we're about 3.8 months worth of supply, which is up 65%. That's a lot. So this time last year, weren't many condos available to people. But of course, we also had what happened last year, 2022. Oh yeah, we had that big old hurricane named Ian.
I said, do you wanna fight me?
So there's probably a good reason why these numbers are the way they are for October of last year compared to October of this year. So of course, let's look at Sarasota County and what happened last October 2022 compared to October 2023. And of course, remember, we were coming out of Hurricane Ian, so a lot of people had to take their homes off the market. The inventory levels shot really low. People had to get things fixed, roofs and screens and yards and stuff like that. So of course, these numbers are gonna be a lot lower for last year, a little bit different compared to this year. So because we had that hurricane, that's a big issue. So again, I'm really excited to see how November's data is going to look when we get it at the end of December. All right, so looking right here at Sarasota County, again, single family closed sales were up this year. Again, that's probably due to the fact that everybody had to take their homes off the market during Ian. And condo sales in Sarasota, you can see that they were down this year compared to October last year. Now let's look at the median price here. The single family median price in Sarasota County was only down 3.3%, which is really different than what we saw in Manatee County's was down 12.8%. And again, just like Manatee County, condo sales, the median price sales for condos went up. Now, I think a lot of the reason condo sales have been going up in Manatee and Sarasota County is because of the price point of condos. Now, that doesn't mean that condos are always less expensive, especially if you're getting a loan. Because remember, there's condo fees and HOA fees and that sort of thing. But typically people spend a little less money on homeowners insurance and that sort of thing because the condo association takes care of the exterior, typically, not all the time, of condos. So I think we're seeing an increase in median sales price and condo sales overall for both counties because they're a less price point. And so people that have money that want to come down, and maybe you want to come down and you want to buy in one of these counties, you're finding condos that match your budget. Maybe you're paying cash or it's easier for you to get a loan. So that's probably why we're seeing an increase in condos, just because their prices are typically lower than your average or your median single family home. And let's look at time to contract, same as Manatee County pretty much, taking about 29 to 30 days. And looking at Sarasota County month supply, we can see that single family homes were almost at 4 months worth of supply this October compared to last October. But again, Sarasota County was hit harder by Hurricane Ian than Manatee County. So we're probably seeing that there was a lot of low inventory this time last year just for that reason. That's why it's so different. It's up 77.3% this year. Of course, condo supply is over 4 months, which is a good indication that there are more condos coming to the market. So if you're in the market for a condo and you want to live in Manatee or Sarasota County, there's going to be something for you to find here, especially this time of year when everybody is not quite down here for season yet. They really kind of start getting here right after New Year's Eve, and we've talked about that before. So if you're looking in the market for a condo the last few weeks of December, it might be a really good time to find something bigger for a little bit less money than you will once season hits. Now, what are your thoughts on whether the recession is still going to happen in 2024? Because as we've discussed, many sources are indicating a soft landing, but I'd love to hear your take on it, so please leave some comments below. I'm going to be right here watching the markets on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and of course keeping you all updated on how the prices are doing here, if they're continuing to edge downward, keeping you updated on inventory levels, home tours, the best communities, and of course lifestyle information about these counties and how great it is to live here. So do me a solid and make sure you like this video and subscribe so you're always alerted every week when a new video is available. You know I so appreciate all of the calls you guys make to me asking about our local markets here, places like Parrish, where I live, Lakewood Ranch, Palmetto, Ellenton, Bradenton, Sarasota, and beyond. I always enjoy hearing about what might be bringing you here to enjoy the endless summer state like I do. So please don't hesitate to give me a call if you have any questions you'd like for me to answer for you, or if you'd like to get set up on an automatic MLS search, which is going to show you what's available with your home buying criteria and of course for your budget, we can do that as well. Then you can kind of watch the markets for yourself. I'm Catherine Newman. Thanks so much for joining in. I will see you next week.